if you look at a puzzle, if there's one piece missing, everybody always sees that one piece. So we don't want y'all to think that you're missing. We're like, no, y'all are part of that same puzzle, because the puzzle it ain't gonna be perfect unless everybody's on the same page, or at least trying to get there.
We're working with our qualified mental health professionals to get anger management, people who do have to do with anxiety, depression, and just really focus on their mental health. Because a lot of people are here because they don't have the tools on the outside, so we're trying to give them the tools to restart their life successfully.
I would much rather deal with somebody any day of the week outside of a jail setting than inside of a jail setting.
Finally here. We are starting another episode of the Sheriff's Talk, and we switched it up a little bit. Before, on the other episodes, we have sheriffs, jail administrators, and some other folks, but today we're interviewing people that are actually doing the work each and every day. Chase, Jennifer, Mike, Will is going to be our lineup today. As you all know, or you're going to find out right now, but y'all just met me like 30 minutes ago, is that I'm very open with the conversations we have, and it's always geared around you as a person as well as your time here at Clay County or just in this law enforcement industry, because what we realize is that there's a lot of different voices, and our goal with Sheriff's Talk is to highlight people at all levels, because sheriffs know they can't do it by themselves. Some do think they can. Maybe if they're in a one-man office, they may have to, but we know the true work, especially as you grow as an agency, comes from everybody, especially the people that are on the ground. We're just here to kind of sign papers and
ride that desk.
Yeah, ride that desk. Or do podcasts and stuff like that.
Podcasts.
Yeah, something like that. So we're going to start off. Chase, tell us what you want to talk about today.
Well, I'm Chase Adkison. Let's see, July will be my second year at the Sheriff's Office. I did 5 years as a Missouri State Trooper before that, and came over here and haven't looked back since. So.
Well, okay, good. That's a quick coverage. I like that. What made you leave that... the state troopers to come here?
So I'm from Clay County. I grew up in Kearney my entire life. So I'm very familiar with the Sheriff's Office and agencies around here. When I got my start as a trooper, I was in Clay County. I actually started doing World's Fund Security before I got into law enforcement, and the Sheriff's Office provides security out there. So growing up, I got to meet a lot of the deputies and people that are still here to this day. I did my 5 years as a trooper. The schedule was very inconsistent and kind of took a toll. I saw how the sheriff's office operated and knew the people. Got in contact with the guys that I knew, and they got me hooked over here, and I've enjoyed it ever since. So.
Yeah, I know sometimes when it's hard, because I'm on my third agency, and sometimes it's hard to leave the first place that hires you because you're like, oh, I have like almost a loyalty to them. I know, remember you had the same thing as Phoenix,
same
right?
Thing. Yeah, started with
Phoenix.
Phoenix, went to South Bend, Indiana with South Bend PD, and then overseas, and then came here.
We're not going to talk about South Bend. We're just going to leave that one alone.
Yeah.
That gives us a lot of heat over there. I remember I posted one of our reels on that, and someone gave us heat on YouTube about that. So we're just going to leave that. Something you talked about on there. Something they took it personal. So we'll leave South Bend alone. So
I always have to say though, in their defense, it was not easy to work.
Correct.
But today they've made such strides, changes, and much like what we've talked about, for this podcast. It's like where have we been and where are we at today? Mm-hmm. And South Bend is an example of that. They were in a really rough spot several years ago, but it looks like they're doing a lot better.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah.
We give a lot of attention on these last few episodes of the podcast, so we're gonna be looking. Trust me. So Jennifer, tell us since we got you laughing now, got you loosened up a little bit. So what you want to talk about today? Or tell us a little about you.
My name is Jennifer Mwai. I've been in the sheriff's office for 6 years. I started as a booking tech, working midnights.
Oh, what tech?
A booking tech.
Booking tech, okay.
So when I started, each shift had a booking tech that worked Monday through Friday, and you had a constant in booking because booking is so unpredictable. So they kind of helped the consistency within bringing people into our facility. And then I went on to detention officer, and I'm currently working in the classification unit of the sheriff's.
Okay. And I guess here, how many sections does the jail have? It sounds like it's a few, based on just based on what you ran down in like a minute or so.
Well, now it's just like it's classified under like admin or ops.
Okay.
But we're under ops, and we have the training unit under ops. We have classification under ops, and then just regular operations of the jail.
Okay. What brought you to Clay County? Well, this is the sheriff's office, that is.
This is my first agency working. I was
Okay.
just really green when I started. I've always wanted to do law enforcement.
Got
and
it.
I live in Clay County, so
Yeah.
I was just like, let me see what's that about over there.
Did you do any school for it?
I went to UMKC. I haven't
Where's that?
finished. Kansas City.
Y'all know I ain't from here. That's why
Oh,
y'all
I was
got,
like-
I'm good with acronyms, but you gotta. I'm just like, oh, what's she talking about? I know she's talking about a university or a college of some sort.
It's downtown Kansas
That's- okay.
City. I was double majoring in psychology and criminal justice. But yeah, I am trying and working hard to possibly go to the academy here and get my post certification.
Well, this is a good step. I mean, it's always good to come here and be next to the big homies, we like to call them around the way. but I know it's not really designed for that. But part of any growth, any promotion, which I've always learned, is that you got to put yourself out there,
Yeah.
even when you least expect it. Like today, for example. Like you definitely didn't have this part of your shift today, but you
Yes.
adapted, and that's part of leadership. And I think that's important for anybody watching, whether you're a deputy, you're in the jail, you're a state trooper. It doesn't matter if you have a title or not. You don't know where your day's going to take you.
It's true.
And I think it's tougher sometimes people to realize that. And like sometimes they see his role and they're like, oh, you better be ready for change. Well, no, law enforcement, this industry, I don't care what your role is. You could be admin. You got to be ready for anything, because if something happens in the jail and it's really bad, I expect those admin to show up. If y'all start getting taken hostage, I expect anybody to show up. Someone down the street from the grocery store better show up. Somebody better help me out.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So every day is different dynamic.
And things happen, when you least expect it. I mean, Jennifer was getting ready to go home.
Yes.
And then we went to the sheriff's office, and she was like, what? And then Chase was just walking through the hallway to go to the bathroom. Chase, meet me up in my office.
Yeah. He was like, I'm never using the bathroom in this office again. He said, if I see this guy sir, I got to do the other, not the number one, I got to do the other one. I don't have any time for you right now. Don't worry, we'll wait for you.
Exactly.
So, like, what do you like? Since you guys are both at the levels you're at here in the sheriff's office, like 6 years, 2 years, I guess, like Chase, what are some of the things that you've seen change, good or bad, since you've been here, as far as like the operation of the department?
So, like I said, I'm coming up on 2 years. The big thing for me was the reorganization of my unit when I got here. I'm in the traffic unit,
Got it, okay,
DWI
okay.
traffic unit.
Okay.
So when I first started, it was you had two guys and they were assigned to shifts. We've now gone to a different style where we all kind of work together in a saturation kind of environment.
That makes sense.
So you have everybody under shift, including the sergeant and even our Lieutenant Tarrant, excellent lieutenant. He'll come out there, middle of the night and get into stuff with us. But so that changeover from you got two guys on a shift on each night shift, and we were working 5 to 5 to now 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. And everybody working together. It's built a good camaraderie from the deputy level to lieutenant, and everybody going out there and working together and having a solid machine. Whereas me and another deputy on one shift, and then you might not see your sergeant because he might be on the other shift, and you don't have that camaraderie with everybody. Whereas everybody's together. You're hitting an area with our targeted weekly enforcement, and you're making an impact that way. So I think that's a big one from my level that I've seen that's really made a difference.
Going from a decentralized model to a centralized model. So when, the camaraderie is kind of missing because, you have a squad or a shift but you only get to see them maybe once or twice a week.
Mhm.
So the rest of the time you're with one person, which that could be your partner, and hopefully you like them. But getting feedback from the traffic unit and patrol and some other units, it made more sense to have everyone come together. And and this is great that you're bringing this up, because everything that I'm dealing with, or have to deal with, I kind of forgot about that. And so now I'm hearing that it's working out, and camaraderie's increased, and now it's like targeted enforcement for the different areas, hotspots that we have. Like that's great, because that translates to better service to the community.
Absolutely.
So yes.
See, you never know what's working. See, and then you hear from someone that's actually doing it, because your command staff, they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear.
Course.
They're like, "Hey, boss,
What they think I want to hear."
sir, if this was sliced bread, that reorganization that's what you did. You did that, sir."
right. But hearing from the people who are doing the job,
Correct.
that's what really
That's important.
matters, and I know this kind of environment, like the boss is sitting right here and they're just kind of answering questions, saying, "I hope I don't say the wrong thing," but no, that also speaks to the culture that we have here too.
You won't, trust me. You won't.
And I agree about the culture. I agree completely on that aspect. So.
I mean, kind of like I told you guys before we started, I come up with visionary ideas, and so does he. But so when we're combined, like things get kind of chaotic. I said, "Hey, why don't we bring some people that are in the field? Let's bring them into this. Let's because the cool thing about the Missouri Sheriff's Association, they host 3 conferences. They host a jail administrative conference, they host a sheriff's conference, and a deputy sheriff's conference, which it's not regularly seen where deputies, people that are on the field, are getting that kind of training as well. So that's why I was like, you know what, let's bring other people on as well. And at some point we'll have support staff from other places, but we want to get you two on as quickly as possible, because we want the state to see that, the nation to see that everybody matters.
Absolutely.
Everybody's a working piece of the machine. I think when we were talking to Gary earlier, he said it the best. When you look at a puzzle, if there's one piece missing, everybody always sees that one piece. So we don't want y'all to think that you're missing. We're like, no, y'all are part of that same puzzle, because the puzzle it ain't gonna be perfect unless everybody's on the same page, or at least trying to get there. So we want to incorporate you guys. So Jennifer, 6 years.
Yes.
What have you seen changes? Good, bad?
Yeah, there's been changes.
I like that. That's the answer. Come on, go down. Let's go down. Yes. She didn't use the adverb in front of changes, so we're good. Or the adjective in front of that. So go ahead. Tell us about these changes.
I mean, there's been good and bad changes. When I started, we used to have 8-hour shifts and 10-hour shifts. Now we're in the 12-hour shifts rotation. Some people love it, some people hate it. It just depends on where you
Why do you
land
think
on
y'all
that.
went to 12 hours?
That's a good question.
I mean, I know y'all talk when he ain't there.
I think the reason we went on to 12 hours, and some of the reason people love it, is you're guaranteed every other weekend off. So you can plan ahead. And even if you look at your schedule, you can plan your whole year, knowing when your off days are going to be, what weekend you're going to be, and then you can strategically ask vacation days off, knowing that there's a week that you have your 2 days. So if you ask just those 2 days, then you can have a whole week off. So, I mean, I see the reason why we went. But until recently is when we started hiring a lot of people when our wages went up. So now we're getting better staffed, so we're able to just work 12s. But in the beginning, it was a lot of 15s and 18s, and people were not okay with that, and it was a lot of burnout because of it.
Yeah.
But I see the vision, but it was there was a hard path to get to it.
Correct. And correct me if I'm wrong. Typically with 12-hour shifts, if you're coming from an 8 or 10, it's typically designed because of staffing. Not all the time, but sometimes because you can have less staff. Meaning what we went through the last few years, and that's where I'm happy you are here to help us get a better idea. What law enforcement has gone through is short staffing in most places. So what I saw, at least over the last couple of years, people would go to 12 hours shifts. For one of the reasons was because it allowed you to cover more with less. Mm-hmm. Trust me, there's no sheriff or chief that say they want less staffing. Right. They always want more. They're always bidding. In any organization, you're always trying to get more. Mm-hmm. So when I saw that happen, I was like, or not here, but when I see the 12 hours, it's usually a staffing issue or a projection of a staffing that's correlated with that. So typically that's what I see with that. But that you guys adjusted, that's pretty cool. Yeah. How do you think, or what do you think has been changing to get the staffing back up?
We lowered our hiring age to 18. When I started, you couldn't work your, as an 18-year-old or 19-year-old, you were a control center operator, but now you can go straight to just being on the floor. But also, like, so as a 18-year-old making our higher wage that we just got a raise, it's worth it coming out of high school making the money that we're
Correct.
making. So I think that's
And a government job that has benefits.
yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
you get some kind of
yes,
health care. I mean,
yes.
I'm assuming they're good. I don't know. Well, I mean, I hope you do something for them.
Yeah, for our area, the benefits are amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
comparatively speaking to other agencies, it's great. And you know, and I failed to mention earlier that I'll be the first to admit when I've made a mistake in a decision. I don't normally make decisions without getting feedback and consultation, you know, from people, but kind of going back to the 8-hour shift, and you're absolutely right. It had everything to do with staffing, but we were already looking at, you know, the attrition rates because of burnout. They're already working 12-hour shifts anyway because we're so short-staffed. So we're like, well, why not just go to a 12-hour shift, and then they'll have every other weekend off. Well, what ended up happening? We're still shorthanded. Actually, we got more shorthanded, and then 12-hour shifts turned into 15-hour shifts, and then 18-hour shifts, and now that's where we're at. But you know, working with the commission, they've been great partners with us. They've increased the starting salaries for the detention officers, and I think in 6 weeks we got over 200 applications.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, it was game changing.
Well, like you said, with money and benefits, I mean, benefits is going to at least make people think, but the money is always, I mean, we try to say we don't live by money, but the electricity, you know,
Okay.
yeah. People are like, I don't want more money. I always say, when people say I don't need money, I'm like, you either don't have any bills or you're really well off and you're just trying to play it like you don't need that. I said, but nah, everybody got to work and do something.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny in the jail, and that's why I was really happy to hear that Jennifer was going to be available for this podcast, because I remember Jennifer when she first started, and I had very little interaction, but she was always the very quiet employee. And I think we always judge people, you know, we're not supposed to, but she was the one who was like, we'll see how long she lasts.
Yeah.
But what I want Jennifer to do is take a moment to talk about where you started as a booking tech to where you're at today in classification, and how important that is.
Yeah. So yeah, the Booking Tech program was an important program as well. But the classification unit, just coming into this unit, I've been here for about 2 years now. It's eye-opening. I saw a completely different side of the jail. We're currently working on getting programs back into our facility, like GED.
Awesome. That's important. That's
yes.
real. That's a real thing. A lot of people don't. It's always surprising how people don't have one.
Yeah, we're working with our qualified mental health professional to get anger management, people who do how to deal with anxiety, depression, and just really focus on their mental health. Because a lot of people are here because they don't have the tools on the outside, so we're trying to give them those tools to restart their life successfully. We communicate with the classification unit. There's the unit that has a municipal coordinator that we're reaching out to municipals for courts. We do their video courts for them. We do the billing for their housing while they're here. I do the work release program, and we work with courts and to be able to get people in here. They pay to stay basically, and they do their time, but they go to work. Some people need that to keep their jobs because, yes, you messed up, but you can't let this stop you. So if you're able to qualify for it, you're here for 30, 60, 120 days shock time, but you're going to work every single day and you're keeping that job. So when you leave here, you're not losing everything while you're here. The inmate worker program, we have inmates that are in our facility that can make some weekly wage. They have something in their books.
Correct.
And they can work and keep them busy so they're not just sleeping their time away or getting into trouble because they're bored. We do so much. In our unit, we just got an investigator in our unit, and we're going to have a jailhouse investigator, and so he's training into doing that. So we can investigate all our fights and all the things that happen in our jail. So yeah, the classification unit touches everything in the jail. And we have to classify every single inmate that comes into our facility. So we're talking to every single person that comes into our facility. So they kind of know our faces, they know us, and they might be able to approach us and bring us information that they wouldn't with just anybody. So it's a really eye-opening unit, and just seeing a different side of working in the jail.
Have you always had that unit?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. No.
But they've added more responsibilities while
Correct.
I've been in the unit. I mean, it went from just classifying to just adding different responsibilities, and it makes sense because we're, like I said, we touch everything in the jail. So having us help open different programs and different things, it's.
We all know and whoever's watching, if you worked in a jail or a prison, inmates, if they have idle time, that's when they get in more trouble. And it's sometimes not, I mean, it's always their fault. Obviously, they make a choice, but they're like, I'm gonna do something. It's better to have like GED classes, anger management classes, some kind of programming, work duties, because that's how they fill their time.
Yes.
I mean, even our kids or anybody, we're like, if our kids aren't doing anything, things are just like, they just break things. They're like, well, how did you break this? Like, why did you knock all the cookies off the counter? Well, I said, okay, just go do something else. So that makes sense. So, did you get a chance to work in a jail here?
No, so when I got hired on, I came right into the traffic in here.
Yeah. So some of the stuff you're hearing is probably all surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's the thing. So there is that kind of disconnect between me and in the jail, and we have another deputy who was kind of in the same spot. He did some time in dispatching, and we're filling in the jail as well. And that's kind of what we've talked about, is that there is kind of a disconnect between people who haven't worked in there and doing the proper procedure when I get in there. For example, I was talking to one of the sergeants in the jail, and I walked in there and started a 7A to 7P shift, and one of the rovers walks by and they're like, hey, you can let the inmates out of their pods. And I was, no, I'm not going to do anything that I'm not told directly to do, right? Because that's not my wheelhouse. So one thing that I kind of recommended was kind of like a play-by-play sheet that somebody who's never worked in because I was in a control center, somebody who's never worked in a control center can easily reference at this time this happens, at this time this happens. If inmates are starting to go to appointments, check this for 2-man escorts, because those are things that, not being in there, and when I'm filling in, I don't know. So that aspect has made it kind of hard filling in on those shifts just because there's not that knowledge. So I recommended just even like a sheet that's easily referenceable would make a huge difference in there.
There was a period of time where we had positions opened up, but we couldn't move anyone because no one was interested in those positions, or they didn't have the experience, right? Mm-hmm. So Chase and a handful of other deputies, they never worked in the jail until we had our staffing issues. Yeah. Now we're rotating everyone
cross training. We call it cross training. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
To make them feel good about it. We got cross training to the jail.
Right.
Oh, okay. Nah.
But I think people like Chase, what they do is, they go in, they're humble. Chase is a humble guy. He goes in there, he knows he doesn't have the experience, but not only is he learning, but he's also there as a mentor to those in the jail who are asking questions. Hey, what's it like working in the traffic unit? On patrol, like what do you get to work? Because Chase might be traffic, but he also works with our strategic operations squad, with patrol, with school resource deputies, and
you said you came into patrol, not traffic. You're
traffic.
patrol now. You came into
so
traffic.
I went straight into traffic.
Okay.
And I do kind of want to caveat off what you just said about the mentorship. So that was kind of one thing that was talked about. So they have 18-year-olds fresh out of high school in there now, and one of the sergeants has talked about how she likes having road patrol personnel in there because it shows those 18, 19 kids with no life experience in this world, right? Because the inmates are what we're dealing with before they get in there, right? So they don't have that experience working with that, and they like to see people come in there who have road patrol experience to kind of set an example, command presence, how you interact, how you treat people, how you talk with people, things like that. So I think that is an important aspect to have in there, because a green 18-year-old with a murderer, right, that they're dealing with and caring for on a daily basis, that's a lot of responsibility for an 18-year-old.
We had to be careful too when I made the decision to go from 21 down to 18. There was a lot of people going, like, we're doing what? That was a big change for the sheriff's office. But we also know that, when they're 18 years old, we're not just going to hire anyone to come in and work. Like we're still probably a little more selective with the under 21-year-old age range. But the ones that we do have and the ones that we have hired, man, they've worked out really. I mean, at least in my opinion, it might be different from the other side.
She's like, Sheriff, you don't see me saying yes, sir, on this one. We ain't agreeing to everything today.
But it's I've told people it's like, they're brand spanking new, right? But that's an opportunity to interact with someone who literally could be your next partner. right? Might be 5-6 years down the road, but that interaction
Correct.
will be an everlasting impact on
Genuine,
their life and
authentic
the
and
direction
real.
that they go. Yeah.
You can't replicate that.
No.
Like that's the real thing. And I started off at 19, so I definitely know my immaturity that turned into maturity quickly because I was around the right people.
That's right.
And that's what helped out. When we talked about a mentorship already, I know at 19 when I got in, I was already on patrol, FTO. Well, I was more FTO, so that's patrol. But they taught me quickly things I needed to know because I was with several senior officers, and they let me know certain things, what I was supposed to do, what I wasn't supposed to do, and obviously I was open to listening. Obviously, 20 years later, I enjoyed what they taught me. But I think when we're looking at the 18-year-olds, and I know sometimes they slip through the crack, we can't just throw them out there. And I think that's probably what things that do happen sometimes. I know it's not design, but it's life. So I think that's what the mentorship early and often. I think that's kind of what you're referring to.
Yeah.
She probably agrees. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we need to have somebody walking along with these kids. I mean, really any age, but 18. The interesting thing about 18 is they don't have any work experience. They probably don't have any bad habits either.
Mhm.
So depends on where they come from or what they've done from 18 to 21. What is it? Have they actually did anything for those 3 years, or are they just the same? So it's kind of like that. That it's like I can take I know what I'm getting at 18. That's a completely fresh brain, at least in theory, with the workforce, versus maybe someone that we gave 3 years to see if they were going to develop into something. They get to us and like, well, they still don't know what they're doing.
I think it's one of those things that you have to pay attention to them
Yeah.
as they're coming up. But I remember when I was 18 years old, you couldn't tell me that I was doing anything wrong. But I also surrounded myself with people who were like, hey, yeah, you are doing this wrong, but let me show you how to do it better. And we rely on our field training officers, but I think a lot of times in the industry in general is we forget that we have a responsibility to train to succeed, not like how we used to 20 plus years ago, where it's like, if you don't pass FTO, we're just going to boot you out.
Yep.
Why? Because we have another 100 applicants waiting for your spot.
Correct.
Yeah, we don't have that luxury anymore,
Yeah.
so we have to change that training mindset too.
Yeah, it's tough. So what have y'all seen on that side, like as far as the newer generations coming in? Whoever wants to jump in, don't look at me. I mean, go ahead.
I'm gonna let you go first.
I think I'm still a part of that newer generation.
Yeah. But you see, everybody's different. I mean, like I said, so Jennifer, what do I said? Chase looked at you right away. He looked at you quick. Well, what have you seen with some of the? I don't know what generation you are, but what with the newer generation with their work skills? Because that's something that always comes up for people at Will's level. Is how do we communicate with them? How do we train them? How do we guide them to be the next sheriff? Like, what are you seeing from their mouths to your ears?
What I always tell new people that work here is nobody's born knowing how to do this job. We all had a day one. Our jail is basically a big circle, and we've all gotten lost day one trying to figure out where we're going. So just keeping that in mind and just giving the grace to learn. It takes a lot more hand holding, and everybody learns different.
Correct, I
And
agree.
some people can just get it and they go into the training program and then just like every step they're killing it, and some people just need remedial training in some places, and we do that. They've created a really good FTO program in the jail, and we've had it. We have a new sergeant in charge of it, and she's done a really wonderful job doing it. And she catches the people that need their remedial help and just holds them back a little bit. We're not just going to release them to work on their own if they're not ready. So we have taken steps to catch and kind of guide them a little more, or hey, this person is training me, but I'm not learning the way they're teaching me. So let's move you to another person and see what we're missing with this person. Well, how can we help you proceed, and so we can keep going forward. But I think just taking things seriously in a jail environment has consistently seen that not everybody at the age of 18, they're not
Struggle with a little bit more.
They struggle with
Like I said,
yes.
with the murder, like putting somebody with a murder or something like that, that's tough.
And sometimes when it comes to safety and security, they don't see the big picture. So just knowing that if I do this, the bigger consequences is X, Y, and Z, they don't see that. And so just in that you learn. I
Yeah.
mean, you make mistakes. And when I started, again, I was very green, and I had a wonderful person that showed me patience and showed me Deputy McPheeters, well, Corporal McPheeters now. And I used to, like, when I was speeding through a chuck hole, I was always like, oh, like just let me just put my hand in there so I can just hand it to them. I don't want them to struggle.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, come with me. Here's an empty cell. I'm gonna go in, do the same thing. And then like he's like, now if I grab your hand and drop my weight, there go your hand. And it took that for me to click, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about it that way. And it's just taking the time and just showing them and just remembering nobody's born knowing how to do this job, and just be patient with you. Because 5 years in, 6 years in, you everything is second nature, and you just do it, and you're wanting this brand new person that's never been in this field, in this building, to just like, I showed you once, you should know how to do it. No, it's not gonna happen.
And we do I've done trainings where we talk about handcuffing.
Yeah.
And Will's like, all right, go tell a brand new person to go handcuff that person versus a veteran. And the person's like, what do you mean go handcuff? Like, am I supposed to just know how to just go handcuff somebody? And we would do something in training just out of principle, and we wouldn't walk them through any steps and say, all right, let's see what happens. And it's all over the place. The hands are in different positions. The keyholes are down. One's double locked.
Yeah.
But you're right though. It's like it's almost a initial thing of how do we expect something that they don't know what their expectations are.
Yes.
Like it puts them in a tough spot. So that makes sense. Before we go on, we're going to take a quick break just to highlight some of our sponsored vendors, and we'll come right back. Today's episode is brought to you by HomeWave, the trusted leader in simple, secure inmate communication and technology solutions for correctional facilities nationwide. Based locally in St. Louis, Missouri, HomeWave provides a zero-cost all-in-one platform featuring video visitation, voice calls, messaging, and tablets, helping facilities enhance security, improve efficiency, and keep communities connected. With a commitment to compliance, transparency, and top-tier service, HomeWave stands by its core values: integrity, innovation, and impact. Plus, their tablet content and educational resources help reduce recidivism, making a real difference. Learn more about how HomeWave can support your facility at www.homewave.com. And don't forget to follow them on LinkedIn. We are back from our break. We had a few minutes to kind of shake out the cobwebs and kind of reset. I'm happy the nervousness is kind of over. I know it's still there, but that's part of being on a podcast. I guess the question that I have for both of you, have you been on a podcast before?
I have not.
Have you been on a podcast before? Yes, Will, we got to. Yes,
Awesome.
we got to. So let's just jump back into the life of being, and I don't know, did we actually tell what the current roles are?
We talked about traffic and we talked about classification.
Yeah. So tell us the life of a detention officer.
Okay. Like classification or just detention?
Life, just life. This
Okay.
wherever you want to take that. You can talk about the personal life, the stressors, the realities of it.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know the surface level is what you do in your 12-hour shift, but what is the real stuff that goes on? Because I'm not in that role anymore. Well, not in that role, so I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of stress in being a detention officer. I know that like if you're working day shift, you're serving 3 meals a day. You're doing a lot of pat downs. You're walking through the halls. I know that when I was on the floor on a slow day, I got a minimum 15,000 steps because you're answering calls, you're doing pat downs, you're serving 3 meals in one shift, and you're there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for yourself as well. So that's stressful in your home life because you're missing, especially the long weeks. Now the short weeks are nice. When you're only working Wednesday, Thursday, those are great. Or on the days when you only have Wednesday, Thursday off, it's a lot on your family, especially knowing that not all those days are going to be 12-hour shifts. Until we get our staffing where it needs to be, you know at least one of those days, if not multiple of those days, you're going to get forced to do a 15 or 18-hour shift. So it's going to be very stressful in your family life, trying to plan life, because you can't say, okay, I'm working 7 to 7 today, let's make plans for 8 o'clock for us to, because you don't know. Because then you're going to get that radio call in and you know that, hey, you're getting forced for 15, you're getting forced for 18. So you can't plan your life even though you know what your schedule is. You don't know what your schedule is.
So as it sits right now, how do you mentally prepare for some of this?
I'm still working on it.
Okay, that's fair. But that's fair. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, because like
Yeah.
you said, the stress and burnout's real.
Yeah, I day to day, I don't have to experience that like I did. In classification, we work 8-hour shifts and 9-hour shifts. Now, if I have to stay late and complete my tasks before I go home, I'll do so. But I know that I won't get forced for hours. There's days that I'm not going home on time because I want to complete my tasks before I leave for the day. But it's not going to be every single day, and it's not going to be for 15 or 8. So I don't have the same stress. I don't want to sit here and say I'm as stressed as they are, because I don't have the stressors of knowing that I have to be gone for my kids, my dog, my family, my spouse, whoever it may be, for that more extended time, and the stress and the relationships that that causes.
Well, I mean, there's inherent stress just in working at a detention center.
Yes,
I mean,
there is.
let's not get it wrong. Yeah.
There really is, and just you have to be aware of inmate manipulation. I mean, if you're gonna be there, they're gonna try to manipulate you, especially if you're green, especially if you're 18, especially if you don't know the knowledge. They're gonna try, and they're gonna keep trying until they get that hook. And once they get it, then it's just. And we can try to train that and try to prevent that from happening. And we are very vigilant. And in the past, when it has happened, we've caught it pretty early on. However, like just knowing that you have to be on guard always. Don't get relaxed. And people do that. They get complacent and they're like, oh, that me and that person, we're cool. There's no way that they would. And yes, there is. If they're at the end of the day, they're an inmate. If they have to get to you to do something that's going to benefit them, they will. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind, that even though you might have a cordial relationship with the inmate and you have a good rapport based on working with them every single day, you have to be cautious not to just befriend them as if they're your best friend. So that's also hard to teach young people, that because they'll say, oh, I've heard this a lot, oh, I don't have to worry about that person. They wouldn't do that to me. Like me and that person.
Yeah, that's tough when you hear that one.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's started going downhill.
Oh no, it's no, yeah. So just having that mindset, that's gonna come with time.
And the memory that came to my mind when you said that, they would never do that to me, right? But we don't know what's happening on the other side. We don't know how the other inmates are manipulating that inmate. And I had a really stark memory of being overseas. We worked with Afghans, but we couldn't trust them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not because they weren't good or bad or good people or bad people. It's they had families. And if their families were being manipulated, and basically if they came home and said, hey, you're going to wear this vest to work tomorrow.
Yeah, they're wearing the vest.
Yeah, kill your family.
They're wearing a vest to work tomorrow.
They're going to wear a vest tomorrow. So, so we always have to keep that in mind because, that's when bad things happen. You still need to treat them with dignity and respect,
Yes, always,
but at the same time, it's like, hey, look, you're in here being held accountable for your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Do your time. Let's get you back out with the services, because you mentioned the services that we're trying to bring programs back and stuff like that, working with mental health providers, but then also identifying, and we're almost there, and I don't know if we're going to go that, but this is a good segue into working with stakeholders to identify people who need services before they cross the threshold of our facility back into our community. And then just handing them a piece of paper and just saying, hey, good luck. No, we're identifying them beforehand, making sure that they have the resources set up for them, so then when they do leave, they already know who to work with.
Get ahead.
Yeah, and Jennifer's one of those people who are making that happen.
I know I didn't say it earlier, but I was a jailhouse investigator before, because I worked in prison before. I worked the blocks and knowing little things like in classification, knowing where the right people is. People will tell you things. People, like you said, I think you said it the best just a minute or two ago. People are doing what they need to do for themselves. If they have to go through you, they will, and they will tell on you. People don't realize they will. I've had some of my best informants, snitches, CIs, whatever you want to call them, coming from the highest levels of prisons. Like we're like this max security inmates. Like they're gonna talk because they're all. You just gotta know what they want to talk for. But if it's to give one of us up, all the rules go out the window. They're like, hey, you saw what Michael did? They're like, what? What did he do? Hey, he somebody's compromised him. Did you compromise him? Well, no, I know who did. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Oh, at the highest levels of security, you wouldn't think that. Yeah. But you're like, wait, that person just told? That dude got 7 bodies on his jacket.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what they're fighting for. But they will throw you under the bus to get ahead, whatever that looks like. So, Chase, when you hear some of this from like the jail side of it, and it's interesting because we're talking about the 18-year-olds, but I'm sure every time you work a shift or you work around it, they probably look at you like you're one of the 18-year-olds, not because of your age, but because they've never seen you.
Absolutely.
So they're like, who's this green guy coming in?
Absolutely.
So, like, how do you handle some of that pressures? Like, when you, like, obviously now you let them out because now you know they got to come out their cells. You know that now. Jennifer, he wasn't doing that before. Remember he said it? He was like, I let nobody out today. I ain't feeding nobody. That inmate's trying to flip me. So I got to use the bathroom. Not on my watch. So, like, how do you handle some of of that? Like, because obviously, like for me, like I spent my first 8 years in the field. I was a police officer in Border Patrol. So pretty much my 9th year in law enforcement, I went to corrections, and it was an adjustment because I went from having all the great gear you had in this room to just my verbal judo with a radio, OC, and some keys. And I don't know what all you guys have now, but I didn't. It wasn't a lot. So like, how do you handle that now from where you come from the streets and now you're going inside the jails?
So I've only been in a control center, so I don't have a whole lot of.
It's still different though.
It absolutely is, and I've said this to people in there. I would much rather deal with people on the streets than in that setting in a jail, because I do think that there's this different behavior in some of the inmates in there than kind of an entitlement, and I guess is a good way to put it, than what I would deal with the same person out on the streets.
I don't disagree with you.
That they're in there. So it's a complete. I would much rather deal with somebody any day of the week outside of a jail setting than inside of a jail setting. And props to these guys for doing it, because it is long and hard work, and I'm glad people they're doing it, because it's a lot of work, and I would much rather deal with people on the streets than in that setting.
So I have another question for you. I don't want you to answer it, and it's because there's this perception that detention officer, jail staff are not law enforcement officers. What do you feel about that from your perspective, based on what you've seen now? Obviously, what you thought before was how I thought, how Will thought. We were all hard-headed and stupid. But what do you see, like when people make or try to say that about people in detention, like just in the jail setting, like how does that make you view that those kind of statements now?
Oh, I mean, they've dealt with worse people than I have. I mean, we have several high-profile people in that detention center right now that I've never interacted with. I didn't take them to jail. I wasn't on those calls, but they're dealing with them every single day. So, I mean, that's a ridiculous statement to have that. And it goes back to the one team, one fight kind of thing, right? That we're all wearing the same uniform, we've got the same badges on. Like I said, they're dealing with some of these people that I've not dealt with.
Some people I don't want to deal with. Right? Somebody earlier told us about a feces story in a jail, and I'm sure she could probably tell you some stories. That just like, and someone got to deal with it. Like you respond to a house call, you see something that's too out of order. Let's call EMS or fire department to come deal with this. This is EMS and fire department that deal with some of it. So
one of my first shifts in there was an incident involving something like that, and the whole hallway smells terrible, right? They can't escape that. You know, if I go do a nasty car call or I search a nasty car, I leave. I go clean my car out and whatnot. But I mean, there's only so much you can do in that situation, especially some of these emotionally disturbed people. That it's a consistent issue, and that's why you talk about getting the resources that they do to try and help it. But I mean, they have no control over that environment with something like that. You know, they have to be there. They have to smell the smells and be part of it. So.
Well, I know how you feel about it. I don't think we have to. I'm guessing you're not excited when you hear people say that. I would assume that, right?
Yeah, I think that we do this like in the jail setting. I mean, we're dealing with fights. We're fighting inmates. We're writing reports. We have armed deals in our facility. If somebody's going to the hospital, where you have civilians going out there with them, like in a jail setting, I think we do. In my opinion, we do the same thing as what the real deputy does.
Yeah, and it's I kind of put my foot in the mouth at a presentation last year. This was in 2024, and I didn't mean I really didn't, but the person took it that way because they thought that I was talking down about corrections, and I was like, I've been doing it 10, 11 years. Like, why would I be talking down? But the way I said it, it was like, well, no, we're not really. But the point I was making with them at the time is that is a perception of someone that's never worked in a jail or a prison. Like, it's a realistic thing, and then what ends up happening is it creates more stress for you because now you have people like, oh, we're dumping everything. Well, when you arrest somebody, they got to go somewhere. You get a DWI or a DUI, I don't know what you call it in Missouri, but someone got to hold on to that drunk person. Yeah. Like, even if you have a drunk take, but if they get arrested and charged, someone has to deal with that person. And we know in society when people are drunk how they act. Now they're in a holding cell or jail cell. Now you're still dealing with them. So it doesn't make any difference. So yeah, I kind of need your answer to that.
Yeah, I don't like that we're short-staffed. One of the benefits of it is having all these different units come into the jail and help out and work and there's some that didn't work in the jail to begin with, so they came straight and went to a a unit outside of the jail. So having them come into jail and kind of see what we do day to day, they kind of get to see our side as well. So it's nice to have that. They can say, oh, okay, I was wrong. And
so short staffing was kind of good after all. Well,
yeah, I didn't say that.
Not for Chase. Chase like, I don't know, I know. But it gives you a better perspective of work, like the whole puzzle.
Yeah. You know, my philosophy is this. If something happens in the jail, it resonates across the entire organization.
Absolutely.
If something happens in traffic, oh, we're just one traffic deputy down, right? Or it affects patrol maybe. But the jail is the center of our universe. And for the old mindset of saying, well, our jailers, our detention officers, they're not sworn. And I have seen people say, well, they're not sworn, and almost treats them like second-class citizens. Yet, if I were to take that same person and put them in the jail to work, they would be the ones that had an implosion because they're just like
bad use of forces and everything.
Yeah. So it's one fight, one team. I mean, not that we're fighting in there, well, not that we want to fight in there, but we are one team. We are one family. And when we spend more waking hours with each other in an environment like that, why would we consider them anything less than peers? Like, we are all doing the same job.
Yeah. As we get near the end, we want to touch on one thing that I wanted to make sure that we talked about: aspirations. I'm going to get to you second. You like that, didn't you?
I did.
Chase, tell us about what sort of aspiration you have here at the Clay County Sheriff's Office. Or in life, whatever you want to touch on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been fortunate recently. I recently attended FTO school, and I was fortunate enough to go to FBI LEDA, the ELI course a couple weeks ago as well.
Training guy we got over here.
So
He said, yeah.
Sheriff's Office was very good with sending me. I want to start tacking on to some of the leadership stuff and field training stuff, and see where it takes me in the next couple of years, whether it be promotion, different unit, all. There's a lot of stuff that I can go forward with these training opportunities. Drug squads always been something I wanted to consider, but with some of these courses, leadership opportunities have really been creeping into my mind with going to these courses.
So one day you could be 8100.
Maybe.
That's possible.
Maybe one day.
Good. I was looking at the sign over there. That's what I do. And I'm like, how's he know the call sign? Trust me, I've heard all types of call numbers today, but that's what I'm saying. But I mean, it's cool that because I always have high aspirations just in life.
Mm-hmm.
But without them, you're going to find yourself becoming complacent. You're going to find yourself becoming frustrated with things that you shouldn't become frustrated with. But when you have hopes of getting better, just in general, I think that's when you see the growth. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think when you set a goal for yourself and you give yourself purpose, then it's a lot easier to overcome the challenges that we have, the forced overtimes, 18-hour shifts, and stuff like that. And I think for Jennifer, and we'll get to you here in a second, but she wants to go to the academy, and she is well on her way. I mean, that's just one of the many opportunities that we have.
Podcast is one of these opportunities.
And podcast, yes. Get out there. But for Chase, I mean, he came in from the outside, but Chase did it right. He was an outsider. He went straight into a specialized unit, but he's a humble guy, and he's just like, hey, look, guys, I don't know anything about this organization other than what I've known growing up. Help bring me into this organization.
Yeah.
What can I do? And by working in the jail, that's like one of those sure things to do that. But surround yourself with positive people, and have a goal for yourself. And I'm not saying the goal, because I'll tell you what, I've been in law enforcement 22 years, and I'm the sheriff, but I don't know if I've still reached my goal.
Right.
Have many goals. That way, every time you reach one, you can celebrate that small victory, and then you achieve the next one and the next one. So yeah.
Okay, well, Jennifer, good luck on the follow-up on that one. Go ahead.
Short-term goal, I would like to go to the police academy so I can get my post certification. I genuinely love my job in the classification unit. We are a small unit. There's 4 of us. We work well together. We really get along, and we enjoy working with each other every single day. So staying there for a little while, I wouldn't mind that. That would be awesome. But outside of the jail, the 2 units that interest me are the SOAR unit, which is our 6th offender registration reinforcement unit, and
That's impressive. I have no interest in a unit like that, but go ahead. Keep going.
we in the classification
Somebody has to
unit,
be,
we
yeah.
work with them. Like the classification
Has to
does
be.
touches outside of the jail as well, and we've worked. I've kind of got to know what they do a little bit, and we work with them, and that's something that's interesting to me, and I would like to work in that, and also schools, resource deputy. I think that just letting our youth know that not all police is bad from a young age, and seeing police as a people to help, or deputies people to help, not just as the bad guy, because in the last few years our reputation is not the greatest, and just having to rebuild that with the youth will help the next generation just be even better and have a better community connections and relationship.
But I love that you say that, because our industry is the most talked about, I think. It's either positive or negative. One example I always use when I speak is look at Ice-T. What did he talk about in the 80s? About his view of the police.
Yeah.
And now what's he been doing the last 30 years?
Wait, real quick. Do you remember the 80s?
I'm not alive in the 80s.
And there's certain songs, Ice-T. So he wasn't always on SVU.
Right.
I will tell you that. But what I'm saying is that what you're like, the view of us, it's all about the right people continuously pushing that right. Because at the end of the day, I think wholeheartedly most people know we're here to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But it's easy to blame us for their problems because they don't want to take responsibility for what they've done most of the time.
Yeah.
And so you probably get
I agree with that. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say we're blameless. There's some bad apples that made that perception of us, but yes, a lot of the time is somebody not having the ability to take accountability of their actions.
I mean, an SRO is helpful. I mean, because obviously you won't be able to have that direct impact on kids. Like, you get to see them at all the ages, and usually, and not usually, but what I've seen. Age-wise, it's usually that kind of like that middle school age, that like, I would say maybe 10 to 14, you could say 11 to 13. That's the kind of group that if we can stay connected to that age, that's kind of where I see them stray.
Yeah.
Whether they're going to stay on the positive side of society
Yeah.
or the not so positive side of society. So having an SROs, like someone like what you're thinking about
Yeah.
getting into with the right reason,
Yeah.
I think that's important for them to see.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Jennifer would do very well in that program, and we literally just started and I don't know what I can't remember what it stands for. I mean, this is how new it is. It's called LENS. So we have an LEPC program, which is the law enforcement something. Man, I'm
If you don't know, I don't know.
but I know what it is. So we have students going into high school who, if they spend 4 years in the program, then they can get a letter associating themselves with the program. But they've literally gone 4 years of training to become an employee of the sheriff's office. They already know our culture because they've introduced that through the school resource deputies. But also, even if they don't come to work for us, they've been impacted in a way that they know who we are, and it's not just the bad apple. But the LENS program is for the middle schoolers to prepare them for the LAPC program.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's and it's good to have layers.
Yes.
Layers of growth and development. Because like you said, we want the positive outlook. We want people to see us in a light that they want us to succeed. But we also want to create opportunities for the people we currently have as well. That's why we have the mentorships. That's why we have the other opportunities. We want you to be thinking about your next step. Ultimate goal in law enforcement, what would it be?
Yeah, you said short term.
Yeah,
you just said
no.
short,
Short term was the academy. Long term was SRD or SOAR.
Okay.
But
Is there a long term past that as well?
not at this moment.
Okay. So I had a mentor tell me back in 2015. He was like, you find a position that you want to do and work backwards. So meaning that, let's say you want to be 8100, for example. How does 8100 get there? You start looking at all the positions 8100 has held, and that's what you build yourself towards. So the rule book, the playbook is usually there. It's just how do you get there? So you always find that position you want to be and work backwards. And you say, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. I mean, first thing you gotta do is do the academy. That's a given.
Yes.
You can't be an SRD or working with sex offenders on the street level if you're not the academy. So that's you know that, which is good. Getting to other roles, it's just one of those like, whatever that position is, that leadership role, what have some of those other leaders done? Like you already done LEADA. That's good. NA is another good one to get involved with, but usually you have to be in a leadership role to get with them. But LEADA will help your resume to where if your name can come up, is if you're a captain or a lieutenant or a major, that allows you to kind of do that. So that's smart. So. You good so far with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm telling you, man. I'm making mental notes.
Well, we're making video notes too. We're making video. Yeah. We just okay. That's what she said. You told me in March is what you want to do.
That's right.
You selected. Hey, you're going to this training now. Like Chase, it'll be Z come up to you, Chase. Like, hey, this is what you got to do. You're like, oh, I did say that on video, didn't I? He's like, yep, I watched the whole thing twice.
Let me show you. Yeah.
This is what they said. So, all right. So. I told you guys I was going to ask these questions right at the end. If someone's looking to find you, Chase, what would be the best place?
Clay County Sheriff's Office, 12 South Water Street in Liberty.
That's good. That's good. You know the address. You cheated. Does it say it somewhere?
For me, Clay County Detention Office, which is 14 South Water Street, Liberty, Missouri.
I thought it was on the same address, so y'all got me on that. Good, well played, both of y'all.
Yeah.
I like that one.
And just to add to that, to reach out to them. They say reach out to them. Absolutely reach out to them. It's one thing to call the sheriff's office and ask questions, but to call the sheriff's office and say, I would like to speak with Deputy Adkison. That's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Or, a D.O. Mwai, right? Because then they can hear it straight from them about what the realities are.
I'd rather that.
Yeah.
I'd rather, because coming from us, it's going to be filtered with a lot of optimism and positivity, and not necessarily knowing what's going on now. Whether they hear it from you all, that's why we wanted you on the podcast on Sheriff's Talk, so y'all can say what's going on right now versus what we probably been through a couple of decades ago.
Well, I was back on the streets, 18 years ago. Back then, this is what we used to do, which is not what we do today.
Not at all. So, all right, Jennifer, any final words? Whatever you want them to be.
I don't have any final words. I just know that, I enjoy my job and classification. The last 6 years have been a ride, and we're just going to continue on this ride as changes continue to happen.
Okay. Change happens.
Yeah.
That's good final words. Go.
I enjoy my time at the Sheriff's Office. If anybody has any questions, we do lots of ride-alongs, community events, so there's lots of ways to get active with the Clay County Sheriff's Office. So.
And that's what I love about this podcast and this way of doing it is showing real life people with real life stuff going on. I will tell people, and actually you guys did back me up. There was no pre-warning about this.
There was not. You're not lying.
When did y'all find out you're doing this podcast?
5 minutes before it started.
Yes, 5 minutes before. I was in the middle of just typing an email, and I got called, and they're like, "Hey, can you come in this office real quick?" Yeah,
Go
and
to the
then
sheriff's office. What?
And then there's a guy with a camera. Oh, I'm about to do a deposition. He was like, tell me I was going to court today. He was like, he got the camera. All this is doing good. He was sitting outside there like a lost puppy. Hey, I said, man, just come on in. He was like, oh, okay. I said, it's a podcast. Woo! He was like, ooh, I guess Will didn't see that last night, which is good. He hasn't seen the video yet. So, but no, we do appreciate you all accepting the volunteering moment that you were provided with, because we think it's important to bring people in where they're currently at, and we also want to give you all opportunities too to let people know just who you are and what you enjoy about law enforcement, and that real people are working here, just not people at higher levels that are going to try to promote it, but people that are actively doing it each and every day, because that's how you create diversity. That's how you create different mindsets. That's how you just show people like, hey, we're all on this puzzle together. It ain't just me, him, you. It's not like that. So
No. We're in this all together.
Wow.
And, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you do for the Clay County Sheriff's Office. But not only for our office, it's for our community too. You are outside of the sheriff's office, right? So you're out on the streets. You're the first person that so many people see, and you're a direct representation of us. You're inside, but you're caring for people who have loved ones in our community. And we talked about this with the last sheriff. The people that are in our facility are still human beings, and they're loved ones of people in our community. And when they leave our facility, they become members of our community again. So everything that you do inside, and I know with your position specifically, is you're talking with everyone. You have to know how to talk with people.
Yes.
And you are a direct representation of how we care for people. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you do for everyone.
yeah, we appreciate that, and like I said, thank you guys for accepting the volunteering moment. That's what we're going to call it.
Okay.
You're voluntold. We all get voluntold something like that. It's all right.
Yeah.
But no, thank you guys, and just make sure, hope people that are watching stay tuned for our sponsors or vendors. They can take a look at who's looking at some of these episodes. But we are brought to you by MSA, Missouri Sheriff's Association, important organization that's really building this environment here in this state because they want to see the promotion of law enforcement at all levels, not just one or two, but everything. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Today's episode is brought to you by HomeWave, the trusted leader in simple, secure inmate communication and technology solutions for correctional facilities nationwide. Based locally in St. Louis, Missouri, HomeWave provides a zero-cost all-in-one platform featuring video visitation, voice calls, messaging, and tablets, helping facilities enhance security, improve efficiency, and keep communities connected. With a commitment to compliance, transparency, and top-tier service, HomeWave stands by its core values: integrity, innovation, and impact. Plus, their tablet content and educational resources help reduce recidivism, making a real difference. Learn more about how HomeWave can support your facility at www.homewave.com, and don't forget to follow them on LinkedIn.